Terry with Collabo Creative, a local service design company here in Indianapolis, and it is another Wednesday. And so we have a semi-new series that we're kicking off for you today, and this is called Lessons from Everyday Experts, because if you've seen our last video, our core belief is that everyone, every single person, you are the expert of your own experience, and in that you are an expert and you have those lessons, and everyone can be empowered by your voice and your lessons. So we have two great, amazing everyday experts today, two new friends who I'm so excited to introduce you all to, but I will let them introduce themselves. So we'll start with Luis. Could you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Luis Garcia. I am between the US and Ecuador. I'm in Ecuador right now. I'm doing my master's in design research and strategy at IUPUI, and I'm in the US thanks to a Fulbright scholarship. And what else? I've had experience working in some innovation departments and research in my university. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Nice. Thanks for coming on. We're excited to hear from you.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Juanita Molano Parra. I am a life and leadership coach. I'm based here in Indianapolis also, but originally from Colombia, from Bogota. I work with, my organization is called Jump Coaching. I also work with an organization called Accomplishment Coaching, training new coaches and training coaching skills for leadership. And what I do, I think, in the context of learning is really supporting people in knowing themselves. So really through conversations, through questions, through reflections, helping people connect to their fears, to what they want, to what's in the way, and really having them just create the lives that they want and learn who they are to express themselves authentically, whether it's in their organizations, in their relationships, in their communities, whatever it is for them.
Yay. I'm so excited to have you both, because I think you both bring some great perspectives, and I know I'm super excited to hear what your lessons learned are, and I'm sure everyone out there is excited to hear that. So before we jump into that, we always like to start off one thing we're grateful for today, because it's always great to practice gratitude. So and Juanita, you would know that, right? So we'll start with Luis again. What's one thing you're grateful for today?
Of course, I'm thankful for this coffee that I got from my aunt a few minutes ago. I'm thankful for, being surrounded by the people I love, and those small things as, always have coffee in my house and sharing a moment with my family during this break that I'm taking.
Oh, I love that. And it's all represented in the one cup of coffee. I love that.
Yes, and a cinnamon roll that I'm not eating because we are recording. Yes.
Okay, Juanita, what is one thing you're grateful for today?
I think one of the things that I'm most grateful for, and it's going to connect a little to what I've learned this time, but it's just the amount of support that I have around me, whether it's like my coach, my therapist, whether it's my family, my friends, my teams, but just the amount of people that I can reach out to and that are there for different, like whatever type of support that I need. Mm-hmm. I'm super grateful for it, and it's been especially important over the last few months.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's good to have that support system in place, especially if you had it set up prior.
Yeah, and if not, also like just being willing to set it up, because never know what's gonna hit.
Yeah. We all need relationships and support from each other, which is why you guys are actually here. So I'm so grateful to have you both here. If I had to say what's one thing I'm grateful for, is for you both to be here sharing your lessons, because you are helping to be that support for myself as well as everyone out there, because we can all learn from each other. We need to be learning from each other. It's the best way for us to feel more connected and create a better future for all of us, right? So thank you again for your time and in advance for your expertise, because I'm excited to hear this. So we'll jump into our first question, the big question, right? So what is one thing you've learned during the past few months, and let's say during 2020, that you want to share with everyone out there, share with me, what's one lesson you learned, and how did you learn that? What's the experience that led you to that? And I'm going to throw this over to Juanita first.
Yeah. I think the biggest, it's what I've learned, but it's like also just like the most important experience that's come from this last month for me is just the kind of like the journey inward. There's so much, kind of feels like there's so much that I had been wanting to say to myself. There's so much that I needed to acknowledge about like what I've done, what I haven't done, about seeing my fears, about the things that I want. I think over the past months, because kind of like how this came to be is that, and maybe some people had this experience, but as the pandemic hit and then started the quarantine and all of that, like there was so much noise and distractions that were taken away. Right? Like for me, it was like I would travel every month to New York, so I was traveling at least once a month. I love going to have coffee with people, but I was doing that all the time, constantly. I was between my home and my co-working space, just going back and forth. I was always doing something, so there was like so much busyness that there was really no room for that inward look, and that inward look can be terrifying. Like for me, at least, it was like the first times during this month that like that started to happen, and those first times where I was like, well, there may be something to think about here, there may be something to look at here, but like, do you want to look at your fears, or do you want to watch another episode of something? Because it's not, not both are equally tempting. So just going through that and really being willing to go in and see the fears, but through that also like see the desires, see the dreams, see the, I don't know, the gifts, the purpose, all these things, because it's all there. You cannot really, it's that thing like where you cannot have joy without sadness. You cannot have like up without down. Like it all comes together. You need to allow both sides to experience the other one.
Oh, that's so powerful. Did you want to build, do you have anything to build off of that, Luis?
No, I guess it's kind of similar to what I'm going to say, but I do agree that probably this time is teaching us that not every day is supposed to be good, or not like all the time things are supposed to work the way we are expecting it to. So I don't know, looking at that, at those fears or at that crisis and knowing how to handle that is like a valuable lesson for lives for the future. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. I know. So we, and I think one of our prior conversations, someone had talked about this idea of slowing down, right? And having less noise in order to focus inward. But then you brought up the, like, what do you see when you look inward, taking it a little bit deeper. So I appreciate your vulnerability in sharing that, because not everyone would share. Like when we look in, maybe it is terrifying. And
it's paralyzing. I mean, and for me, it was paralyzing, terrifying. Right? Like you're kind of like sitting there like, what? I don't know. That was my experience.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. I think I had this very, very similar moments, probably several of them, where you're just like, what am I doing?
It's the existential crisis. We're all going through that. Yeah.
As a whole, right?
Yes.
And actually, when you said that, Terry, it reminded me, it's like a lot of what came up. And I think this was kind of like one of the triggers of like the going inward was like, what am I doing? But the first questions were like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what should I do? What should I be doing? And I think those like supposed, should, like those were an indication of like that had nothing to do with me. Like that had nothing to do with me inside, right? Like, yeah,
who's supposed to know what you're supposed to do? Like, you're discovering that on the journey.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, so Luis, same question to you. What's your one lesson for the past few months?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and for me, is now being conscious that losing control is not always bad. maybe even before the pandemic, I was having some expectations that were not fulfilled the way they were supposed to be fulfilled. And with the pandemic and going through that mostly alone when I was in the US for those months, made me realize, okay, now every day I am waking up and seeing a lot of things happening in the world, a lot of crisis, sadness, um, and there is nothing I can do about that. And that also that transmits to my life too. It's like probably I don't have control of uh, some things that are supposed to happen in a way, and I don't know, like letting things go make me see a lot of things clearer and being more in peace with me and in peace with the things that are going to happen. And probably that will make me be a better person in the future and accomplish more things because I am not overthinking the things the way they are supposed to be. So, and I am going to try to keep that in mind for everything or most of the things in my life. It's not to say that like you have to be extremely chill and not make any plans, but at least letting some things to a random happening, it's a valuable lesson that I have from all of this.
I love that. That's really powerful. And you know, I think what I had heard was you had said like the idea of losing control helped actually bring more clarity, right?
Yes.
That letting go helps to bring more clarity. It's really powerful because I've never even thought about it at that level, right? I just kind of accept and say, okay, there's certain things I cannot control, but then taking a step back and realizing how much clarity that can give you when you realize what you do have control over and what you don't, right?
Yeah, because like I don't know, when you're like trying to control every bit of the things that you're doing in your life, that's when you're starting to lose even more control. Because I don't know, there are so many random things in our life. So yeah, I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's just like all of this has broken the idea that we had control. Like we thought we had control,
exactly.
but we actually had none.
Yes.
We never, right? Like, I mean, and like control freaks over here speaking, like I would love to have everything like here, like, but I think when you said the clarity, like I have the image of like, it's like you're looking at life through like this little tube and you're like, yeah, you know, like within here, everything is under control. Like you can see that's the thing, da da da. But then when you let go of that, you actually see there's so much more around. And control or no control, it's actually not about that. It's about like everything that could be available, like everything that you could do. And you're like, oh, right, that was what this was all about.
Yeah. I guess it's about learning how to deal with all the chaos.
Yes.
How you navigate, how you explore that chaos, and how you come up with solutions along the way.
Yeah, and that's like, I think the like being with the chaos and like being with the things happening around. And I don't know if this was a similar experience for you, Luis, because I remember right at the beginning of this year, there was a lot of, for lack of a better word, like turmoil in Ecuador, in Colombia. Like there were a lot of like, I don't know if you know this type, but like there were a lot of protests and it was very intense and a lot of things were happening. And at that point, I assume you were in the US, Luis?
Yes, I was in the US, yeah.
So it's this experience of like being away, but like, you know what's happening and like, what do you do? Because not only you don't have control, like, but you can't do anything. You're not
There's
there.
nothing
You're
you
not
can do, yes.
like, so it's just like being with like who you are in those moments, like what, I don't know, who you want to be. It's pretty existential, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess when you're aware of the problems or the things that are happening, that's when you're able to reflect what's happening and maybe what you can do in the future, how you can help avoid some of those things. Experiencing the things that were happening here from there, I think I have a lot of lessons and probably more reflections that I would have had if I was here. Because That when you're taking those 2-3 steps away from the problems, that's when you can like dissect it and see the different things happening instead of all that mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
super
I love that. Yeah, you guys are. Oh, we're gonna have to get you both
I'm
back
so
on.
sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. We'll have to get you both back on to talk about when you're in the middle of everything and what that experience looks like versus being away from it and then being able to see from. I mean, that's like that physically you're outside of it, being able to provide a different perspective, which that has to be really interesting. And I think it even connects with what you were both talking about, that whole idea of like when we have to be separated and we have to be separated from all the things that we were doing before, right? Realizing what we have control over, what we don't have control over, and then just being able to be reflective in that point. And so there's something about this removing of yourself in some way that enables it, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. And that's what I was hearing. What you were saying, Luis, is like, well, what if we made that more of a common practice? Like, we don't have to leave the country and go away to get some perspective, right? Like, we don't have to leave our lives and just like see what it's going. But like taking some moments to kind of like get some, I don't know, elevation, or how do you say, like a step back to see, oh, okay, like getting out of it and see like
That's fantastic. Well, and so this leads into the next question, which is, right, so now that we have lessons, we've learned some lessons, what are we going to do with that? And you always want to apply lessons, right? We want to apply new learnings and operate differently in the future. So, and we'll go back to this question. I'm going to throw this to Luis first, but how do you see the lesson you've learned? How do you see yourself applying it in the future? Or how would you like to see other people applying the same lesson?
I guess for the future, if I ever get to be on more of a leadership role or working in big teams, like allowing people to lose that bit of control, like not knowing everything with a lot of precision, like trying to explore more before coming up with concrete solutions. And probably let people make mistakes as I don't know, when I think of good leaders that I had or good professors that I had are the ones that allow me to make mistakes, lose control, and then growing from that, learning from that. So probably that's the way that I would like to apply that and with the teams and the people that I work with.
I love it. Leadership lessons, right? How moving forward. You're going to make a great leader once you finish up with your season.
We'll see. Hope so. I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, Juanita, same question to you. So how do you see these lessons moving forward? How do you see yourself taking action or the world taking action?
Yeah, I think it applies to both. And I think it's two things. One is continuing that inward journey, because I don't think it really ever ends. Like, you discover new things about yourself, and the more you go inward, like, and when I say going inward, like, that sounds kind of esoteric, but like it can look in many different ways, right? Like, for some people it's like meditating, for some people it's writing, for some people it's like I don't know, like dancing. There's a bunch of different ways, but something that has you really connect to yourself and be able to listen to yourself. So for me, it looks like, I don't know, like, I mean, I do know, it looks like writing, it looks like I've gotten super into like cards and oracles, and like that's a really cool way for me to kind of talk to myself. So continuing that conversation. And from that, the second piece is just really being more aware of where my choices, my thoughts, my actions are coming from. Like, is it coming from the should or the supposed to, or all these things that are about other people? Or is it coming from my desires and my dreams and just my inner self?
Oh, that's so fantastic. Some really great tips there as far as, like, how are you going to take that journey inward and figuring it out for each and every one of us, right? And I love this. So much good stuff from both of you. Okay, so we are going to wrap up because it's a very short conversation, but you had some really powerful lessons that you shared with, both of you shared with us, and with, well, when I say us, like all of us, but really shared with me. And you know, it's amazing. I love having these conversations because I learn so much from hearing everyone's stories and everyone's voices. And so the last thing that I always love to hear is like, what are those words of wisdom, or what are those quotes or mantras that drive you every day? Like when you're stuck or when you're not motivated or whatever it may be, like what are those kind of little golden nuggets that you use to push yourself forward? Anyone can go.
Juanita,
Yeah.
I think you were about to go, and
I think it's actually connected to the learning and all, but it's just a constant reminder that it's all an inside job, right? Like that can be super disempowering and scary because it's an inside job. It's up to you, but it can also be so empowering, right? Like it's an inside job. It is up to you. It is your choice. It is your power. Like everything, going back to the support, like all the support that you have around you is for you to create your own life, for you to heal your own soul, like for you to really be whoever it is that you're meant to be. But it's all an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Oh, love it. And it's so simple. I never even thought about that. It's all an inside job, both you know, the positives and not not positives.
Yeah.
Okay, Luis, you got
I guess for me, yeah, I guess for me it's about exploring but not getting lost. I don't know. There is, when I was talking about making the mistakes, or when learning, when doing things, when you're letting yourself those moments, or that time to explore, to try to learn as much as you can, or understand what's happening, but not getting lost in that chaos. I think that's when you come up with really good things. So whenever possible, explore but don't get lost. That'll be those will be my words of wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom. It's not that I am super wise, but yeah.
I think so, because I think those are really wise words, right? We a lot of times, because, you know, you and I are from similar, you know, industries, right? And we promote and talk about exploration, and even you, Juanita, are all about exploration, right? But there's got to be a balance, and there's got to be that whole point to exploration. We don't just explore to explore, but we don't want to get lost. We want to find something, find our way, find ourselves, or find something new, right? Yeah. So I think that's super powerful. Don't discount yourself on how wise you are.
Oh, thank you.
So are those your words? We can say explore but don't get lost, and credit that, like Luis.
I don't know. I don't want to say yes, because
by Luis Garcia.
Hopefully one day. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever heard those from someone, but this world is too big not for probably someone else have said.
Take them, Luis. Take them.
You can take them as Luis Garcia for this case. I will take that.
I haven't heard them from anybody else but you. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So this has been so fantastic. Thank you again for taking the time out and joining me in this conversation, and being, like I said, just being open and sharing your stories and your experiences. The lessons that you both have shared it's so powerful. And I've been having these conversations with so many people, but at the same time, everyone's lessons are always just a little bit unique to them, right? To those experiences that they've had, even though even some of the stories the lessons at the high level are similar. Those little nuggets, those little pieces that build that lesson even further, right? This whole idea of slowing down, but then also the journey in, and yeah, kind of being okay with what you're gonna see there, being able to face, you know, what seems terrifying, and being okay with that, being able to move forward, right? And so it's a lot of similar lessons, but each of you coming on and talking about your experience brings your own expertise, which is why we see you and I see you as everyday experts. And so I want to thank you so much for your time and being our first everyday experts on this series. Whoa. I know you guys are the what is it called when it's the first inaugural. You are the inaugural.
Nice.
I was thinking of like first class, like but that may not be that.
That was a surprise. I didn't know we were the first of like this new series.
Yes, this is, I mean, it's a slightly shifted series, but yeah, you are our first ones. The one that is, the one that is officially titled Lessons from Everyday Experts. So.
Okay.
Well, thank you for having us, Terry.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just still so grateful that you are willing to take the time and come on and share with us. So I will sign off for us. So thank you for all of you folks out there that are watching our Everyday Experts and getting their lessons. I hope you enjoyed everything that they had to say. I hope that it was as powerful for you as it was for me, and as for it was for both Luis and Juanita for each other, I'm sure. I hope you're taking these learnings and moving them forward in your lives, because the more we can learn from each other, the more we can set each other up as experts, the better we're going to be at treating each other and building relationships. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next week. Bye.